Good afternoon, this is David T from Field Sports Scotland, and this is FSS Chatback, weekly podcast where I talk about scopes, reviews and views and countryside news and whatever else that is coming to mind at the time. Basically what you're doing is you're going to listen for me waffle on for the next half hour, and hopefully you'll get some information out of it. This week has been busy. I've first of all, we'll talk about what I've been up to. I have been swamped. I volunteer as a crew member on RNLI, so I had a week's worth of assessments and training that I did last week. So I'm kind of behind on podcasts. But with the hour-long session that we had with Toby up at Armaclouds the week before, I thought, well, I'll get away with having 1 week without a podcast. Then I have been catching up with the deer management stuff, been working a lot on the estate, just doing bits and bobs, getting ready for more deer management and checking replants and stuff like that, which is not always so exciting. It's basically just kind of wandering around, getting a gist of what's happening on the ground at this time. I'm seeing hinds, but I'm not seeing any male deer at the minute. I haven't seen any roe deer, but I'll be out doing the roebucks this weekend on another property, and hopefully that I'll get something on this. I've also been working on the review for Armaclouds and Hick Micro for their new Alpex 4K. The review on that's slightly different because, as everybody knows, the Hick Micro has been basically advertised for night vision, and it's been reviewed to death in regards to night vision. And so I am trying to do it on a deer stalking side of things. The day scope, seeing if it's going to be a replacement for a day scope. Been working very hard on that actually, because as you can imagine, you kind of have to work it straight through into last light, see what the pros and cons are of it, and it's actually turning out to be very good. But I'm not going to spoil anything on that review because that'll be coming up next week. I might talk about it in next week's podcast a little bit, but the full hour review of the product being used, set up and all that, I will have that, including the unboxing. I will have that on over the next week, which will be great. I'll be handing that scope back this week to Toby up at Armaclouds and saying thank you. What else did we do? Yes, so you've probably seen videos online in regards to the Hick Micro HL25 4K binoculars, multispectral binoculars. They were fantastic, I have to admit, for £1,200. Now they have been released and the price is there. Armaclouds are selling them for £1,199, I believe. So just under the £1,200 mark for a thermal unit that also has optical night vision as well as day vision. I honestly, I cannot believe how good they are for that price. And to be honest, I'm really thinking about buying a set myself. I put them up against my old Hellion, which I use on a daily basis, and these things were fantastic. Probably beat the Hellion in many, many ways. I used it in humidity, low light. We shot a fox the night we were out. It was actually quite an exciting product. Ugh, spit it out, David. It was quite an exciting product. Not because it's completely new, because it really isn't, because there is Hick Micro do a bigger brother to it that's over £2,000. However, and Pulsar and various other companies have brought out multispectrals as well. It's the price point to have these facilities that we would have been paying high-end prices 5 years ago for that product, to have it down to around about the 1,000 to 1,200 mark is absolutely fantastic. And the kind of that side of thing is going to lead me on what I'm going to be talking about today in regards to the scope market. We are going through a weird period of time for not just on night vision, but on day scopes and binoculars, and it's coming up to, for a lot of folk, they'll be getting excited about coming up for their own personal deer seasons, whether we'll not talk about the legislation this week, but they'll be looking at new products to purchase this year for their deer stalking and stuff like that. And there is a lot of confusion out there in regards to binoculars and scopes and optics in general, because there's so much on the market. And it begs to wonder why this is happening. Now, the reason for it, and I believe this is probably the main reason for it, is because products coming out of China are starting to become very, very high end. They're taking they're taking what was traditionally a European market, or even Japanese market, but mainly European market for high-end optics, and they're taking all the stuff that they're learning from European optic companies, and they're putting into their products. No, I'm trying to think the right words here. They're putting it into their products and their processes and their manufacturing techniques, and they are now being able to put that out in mass volume. And that's one thing that the big optics companies have never been able to do, is to be able to put out things in mass volume. And it's genuinely quite expensive for everything in Europe, you know, whether it's UK or Europe. Generally, things are far more expensive because the products themselves and the materials for the products themselves is far more expensive. Does this make the Chinese market's quality less? It doesn't really. It doesn't at all, because I was looking at, for instance, Arcan Optics. They've got a line of day scopes out, and they don't have a huge line. Don't get me wrong. But there's some really good shooters out there that are in PRS or long-range shooters who are using these optics out to 1,000 yards. And the price point of these optics is around about £600. Now, £600 compared to other competitors or who are using Vortexes or Smith & Benders that are £3,000 to £4,000 and getting the same results, then you have to start questioning the market. You have to start questioning whether these high-end scopes that do cost £3,000 or £4,000, are they genuinely worth the money? And sometimes they are. So I'm not going to put down their products. The products are fantastic. I'm going to say that it goes down to price point. It was like many years ago, Zeiss brought out the Conquest V4, and I purchased mine brand new retail at £450 because that was the deal that Zeiss were bringing out for the 5 to 25 by 50. Now I'm seeing that same product, exact same product on the market now for about £1,200, and you think to yourself, well, why were they able to put it out for 450? And I kid you not, there was around about, and other retailers were doing it for £550, £600, but that scope is a fantastic scope, and I still use it today on my big rifle. I still have it on my 270 as my main stalking scope, and it's now about 6 years old, and it's never lost zero. I've never had a problem with it. It still dials very well, and do you know what? If anything happened to it now, I really wouldn't be that heartbroken in regards to how much, because it's given me everything back that I've put into it. And it makes me wonder how Zeiss back then could put out that product for such a low amount of money, and then now for almost the exact same product with the exact same glass, etc. Now they're demanding almost double the price. Where the Chinese market are not doing that. They're bringing everything out low. They're mass producing it. They're mass advertising it. They're swamp advertising it. And the product is good. You know, the products that they're bringing out are very, very good. Like Hick Micro and Alpex and the Hick Micro and Arcan Optics. And there's more. The Pard was one of the first ones that came out. Now that with them moving into the day, like high-end day glass, we're talking about they're really putting into mix something that the market hasn't seen before. and it will be putting stress on these companies. Now, with the legislation change in Scotland, where you can use night vision scopes or digital scopes now to shoot deer, it's opening up the market further, because I can now record. This is one thing you can't really do with a day optic. With, say, the Alpix, I can record my stock. I can record the conditions. I can review it. I can do something that every guide in this who has ever worked with guests, especially novice guests, can do. I can look on my phone and watch my client take the shot, and I can make a decision if that's a safe shot or not from what he can see through the scope, because I can also see through the scope. Now, these are facilities. Yes, you could do that with shot cams and stuff like that, and add-ons for the scope, but that takes away the experience that your guest is having. Now, it also allows you to review your footage. It allows you to post up on social media and do other things, but it allows you to sit there and review it and record your footage. If you're monitoring a deer, for instance, because it's limping or it doesn't look quite right or whatever, you have video evidence of the shot you've taken, and you can review and say, look, I watched this for 10 minutes. Look, it just doesn't seem right. There's something not quite wrong with that deer. Something not quite right with that deer. Can you? So I decided to take it. You know, you have that video evidence for yourself, for your own management purposes. So the digital scope market has now been used for deer management and land management properly, not just on vermin control. You have a wider kind of range of usages for it. The product now becomes usable for proper land management and for recording and keeping data that you may need in the future. The thing about it is you're going to have to start thinking, where does the big companies go? Where does the likes of Pulsar, for instance, who are still demanding £1,200 to £1,500 for their just night vision stuff, where there's better products on the market now that are half the price, or like the likes of Swarovski, who probably will bring out another scope this year, maybe a 3 to 12 or a 3 to 25 or a 3 to 20 or whatever, you know, and they'll probably bring it out at £3,000 or £4,000. Where do you justify that kind of money if you're a recreational stalker that's shooting maybe 5 or 6 deer a year, when you could get a perfectly good scope for £500, £600? And it's always been kind of the case that you could always kind of tell the difference between a low-end scope and a high-end scope. And now it's hard to tell. It really is, because it's all one-piece tubes. The dialing mechanisms are all very similar and very good. The glass generally comes from the same people most of the time now, and some of it is very good low light glass. Again, you're still having to shop around, but it's like the binocular market as well. Binocular markets, the best low light binoculars in the market is the Zeiss Victory HTs, and they're holding that slot because the light transmission is up at that 94%. But you do have other products that cost more than that Zeiss Victory HT binocular that have less light transmission and not offering the same quality. You know, the Zeiss HTs, you could probably pick them up for around about £1,800 to £2,000 at the moment. In some places, I'm not saying all places, but then you're looking at a pair of Swarovski ELs that are probably going to be £2,500 to £3,000, and the light transmission is 90%. Now, you could get a pair of Leica Geovids for £700 or £800, which they also offer 90%. The other part about it is you could even get cheaper ones that are around £500-600 that offer 90%. So we really need to start thinking about the comparison and the price and what it is offering. Now, I used to swear by Barron Stroud a long time ago because they were cheap. I could pick up a pair of Barron Stroud for 120 quid, and they were great binoculars for what I did. I could see quite easily the deer that I was looking into. So when you're looking at optics for this coming seasons, think about your budget. Think about how much more expensive things are and what all the other products that you need. And I would be worried right now to the likes of Pulsar, for instance, where you're getting night vision scopes coming out with LRFs and multispectrals and all that are coming out half the price of what they're producing. I would be very worried if I was Swarovski or Smith & Bender or Zeiss. And some of these bigger companies have MOD contracts or they've got army contracts throughout the world. Like Smith & Bender do provide quite a lot of militaries with optics. So they're kind of safe in regards to their pricing products. But on the consumer market, they're going to struggle. They're really going to struggle because there is better glass out there. There is better options out there. There is scopes out there that will open your average shooter out to longer range shooting, for plinking or for PRS or whatever. There is scopes out there that are far cheaper than the Razor HDs or the PM2s or the excuse me, the various other long range scopes or night forces, and they're offering the same facilities. So you kind of have to think about your budget, because that's one thing. If you can afford to go out and buy a £3,000 scope every couple of years, then that's up to you. But that's what's holding the market so high. The one or two people, the few that are going out and getting silly finance on a high-end scope, or they're going out there and paying £2,000 to £3,000 for a scope, they're the ones that are giving the impression to the one half of the scope market that this is still affordable, where the Chinese are coming out and the Japanese will be coming out soon, and various other Indonesians or whatever, once their licenses start stretching, that market is going to get flooded by good scopes that are very, very cheap. And the way they do it, and I'm there's no doubt the way they do it is quite forceful, is that they will put out lots of free product to people who are going to go on YouTube. They're going to pick, they're going to guys that are on PRS or guys who are quite well known in the shooting industry, and they're going to give them products and keep giving them products to review the hell out of. And you, like, for instance, look at the Arcane Zulus. Now, I'm one of the reviewers for Arcane Zulus, and I've got a 3 to 12 on its way, apparently. It's supposed to be coming by the end of next month, or the middle of this month, I can't remember. I got a text message about 10 minutes ago saying, let me see what they said. It will be in, so I've just been told, and I'll reply, it will be here at the end of the week. So that's the 312R that is coming from Arcane Zulus, from Arcane Optics for the Zulus. Now I've got the 520R, and that, so I'm going to be doing a comparison on that. Now, I'm not the only person. The internet, YouTube, is flooded with people reviewing this product right now. And these products, and they're fantastic. They are great. I am going to be honest, and they are great. They give you ballistic calculators. They give you LRF. They give you day beautiful clarity on day mode, and the night vision is fantastic with a built-in IR that gives you at the lowest setting 300 yards. You know, and it's like, how can you compete with that? And we're talking £600. £600 for this product, where a similar product from Pulsar will cost you, and the quality is nowhere near the same actually, will cost you £1,200 for night vision. When these guys start hitting the thermal market properly, like Hick Micro is hitting the thermal market right now, right? And Arkin Optics is bringing out a multispectral thermal scope and stuff like that. When these guys start hitting that market, honestly, they're just going to blow the likes of Pulsar out the water. It's like, we're not just talking Hick Micro and Arkin Optics, and that's the ones I've been reviewing. We're talking Infiery, we're talking all sorts of people now coming out of the woodwork. Even, I've heard rumour that the high-end scope companies like Swarovski are looking at doing digital day scopes. So it's a weird place to be right now. It's quite an exciting place for me because I get to play with lots of product. I will be, as I said, I've got the 312R on its way. It'll be here this weekend, and I'll do an unboxing. It'll be similar to the 520 in very many ways, but it's got a shorter, it's got a better field of view for closer range stuff and things like that. So, but you have to kind of question what's happening in the scope market right now. It's a consumer market right now. It really is. You dictate the cost of the products now. It's not a seller's market. It is a consumer's market because of the products, the good products that are coming out of China. The European market should be very, very, very worried. I have to admit, because the Chinese market is going to get better and carry on getting better because they're not afraid to develop and put the money in, and they have got almost infinite amount of money at the minute. I mean, like, and they've got the ability to mass produce. The problem lies with the European markets is their price is high, so they're demanding high, and can they compete? And I hope they can, because I would love to see in the future it getting to a point where you will have digital. Well, this isn't just going to benefit like the hunting market. This is going to benefit the ecology market, like those multispectral binoculars that I used the other day there. Now, how amazing if you are an ecologist or you're doing rewilding project or involved in a rewilding project or whatever, and you can monitor, record thermal, daytime, you can do nighttime optics, and it's affordable enough that you can give your staff, maybe say you got a team of 5 rangers, you don't need to just have one product. For the price of one of their products, you can, for the price of, a high-end £5,000 multispectral from Pulsar or whatever, you could buy 5 of those and give 5 rangers off the Hick Micro, the Hick HL25s, the Hick Micro HL25s, and you can have similar results out of it. You can record birds, you can record deer or animals, you can both day and night. You could sit there and record and monitor a badger set, for instance, for data purposes. You could monitor fox dens or whatever at night. You can work 24 hours a day with these products, and at quarter of the price of what is coming from the European market. It's crazy. It really is. It is. I've waffled a bit. So over the next week, I'm going to be carrying on my review of the Alpex. We'll be finishing that this week. I was starting the next review on the 312 when that arrives for the Arkin Optics. I think I've got more Hick Micro products coming, which is great. I'm hoping to get some Other glass, day glass as well. I'm going to speak to Armour Clouds this week and speak nicely to Toby to see if I can borrow some equipment from him. It's nice. Armour Clouds is based in Tain. They are an amazing gun shop. They know quite a lot about. They know a lot about optics, both night vision and day vision. They go to quite a lot of the shows, and most of you guys out there will know them. But don't, if you're not a hunter, Armour Clouds doesn't just do hunting products. They do binoculars and things like that for bird watching and for nature watching, and they do clothing as well. They do anti-tick clothing as well as a good range of other products, which is great. And these are stuff. This is equipment that can be used throughout. It doesn't, like, I talk about rifle scopes quite a lot, but there's a lot of optics out there that we use, can be used quite across, right across the spectrum, from bird watching, nature watching, straight through to hunting scenarios. So it covers for everybody. So if you're, optics is one of the biggest things that we need in the business, because without the optics, without the being able to see what we're doing out in the countryside and recording that data, we just don't have enough of our eyesights to be able to do that and write down. It makes life easier. It opens such a wide, it opens the countryside to you. It really does. You see things that you've never seen before. You learn things that you never could learn before, and you can see things from distances that doesn't affect the behavior of, say, an animal that you're looking at. It's going to be a great couple of years. It's going to be a great future in regards to the optics world. It's massive. It really is. Again, I'll probably speak something about deer next week, because of the fact is it seems like deer management is in the news every week. But I'm going to look at other content. I'm going to see if we can get some more guests in. That was great when I have to say thank you to Armour Clouds for borrowing the gun room to speak to Toby. That was great. Might catch up with him again as well. He's always welcome on the show, always. So if you've got any questions for Toby, give me a shout. I will get him back on if I need to. I have to go up there anyway to drop products off. So I can grab him for half an hour over lunch, and I might buy lunch for him this time. I don't know. But if you've got any questions for me or for Toby or for anybody else, or if you've any topics that you want me to look at, any products you specifically want me to look at, I've got contacts, I can speak to people. Just drop me a message, drop me a line. And if you've got any problems with a product, give me a shout, because I'm always helping folk out, and I don't mind. I don't charge any money for it, for advice. So just speak to me. I'll catch you next week. Happy hunting, and just, guys, stay safe. Have fun.